Okay, everybody, are you all done dancing to my tune? Have I made it clear that I am not one to play games or tolerate schemes behind my back? Because if anyone would be someone's toys to be manipulated, then you would be my playthings, not the other way around. God has a grand design to things, so it is time I set you all back into place. And do not be mistaken. Do not take this channel's videos to be about winning anyone's belief. From the beginning, this channel has always been about showing you what's going on that people don't see. Events that are causing things to happen, your own front row seat to the fall of mankind, and how it all went downhill as it happened, along with some lame humor to cushion your COVID-induced PTSD snowflake generation triggers. And my videos will end up as labeled hazardous to your sanity. Author is not responsible for brain damage attained while viewing this film.
Let me take a moment in this pause within the chaos of the coming storm, as the gods deliberate our problem, to banter so that there is an understanding here between forces that are involved that seem lost, without direction, and some who do not even realize it. In these discussions, it has always been a tradition in battle, that opposing forces set aside their differences to hear wise counsel, to gather without the tides of emotion that are driving the conflicts to interfere and disrupt the purpose and goal of the gathering. It is a chance for the leaders to possibly hear and listen to wisdom and advice they could not hear before, a chance for the generals to better learn their commander's reason for the conflict they may not have understood and solidify loyalty, a chance for the leaders to gauge their generals' loyalty to their cause if not aligned. A chance for leaders to reconsider their options and possibly find a path to peace or conclusion to their situations. But if possible, and it is not always this way, but one can hope, that all forces involved considers one and listen to each other's wise counsel, enlighten others to the things most do listen to, because conflict does not allow it. However, it is rare that forces at conflict with each other have leaders that are wise and skilled enough to achieve that last part. To do so, it must be understood that this gathering is not one of deception, that no strategic advantage will be taken by any side, that the gathering is not an opportunity to gain the advantage over the other and seek only things that will gain their favor in battle, that there are none who can justify themselves beyond these guidelines, and if they feel they should be, then they should not attend the gathering, that though they are among enemies currently in conflict, they are currently not there amidst each other for their reasons of conflict, but ultimately for their people's sake that will be even after the conflict is over, and it is for their tomorrow that they maintain peace for the moment, to just listen to their advice of wise men who may not be among their numbers, and so it is wisdom they may have not heard or considered. To achieve this, the ones who speak of the wisdom and insights they have to offer is not one-sided or for the intended gain for one side or another, but simply wisdom that they think should be heard that may help enlighten those who may not see all sides of the situation. These things, as I have come to understand it, are the ways of my people, where I came from but never knew. It is also a part of the reason why my people remained locked in a civil war for 500 million years. Because they were socially advanced and evolved enough to be capable of achieving these things, as they saw it as the best choice of action when faced against such unfortunate but sometimes inevitable situations. My people were a kind who sought to build their generations with leaders whose foundations were built upon beliefs that could not be compromised and were of sound, logical, unbiased reasoning, things which could generally be applied by almost every social class who sought to understand it from a leader's perspective, and they were supported by a chain of command that all sought to serve in upholding their responsibility to their society, before themselves. And one of the differences between my people and mankind has to do with the fact that these were not just words that were spoken to gain favor. They held it as sacred as a samurai would hold his honor sacred to him. Going through the information uncovered by Zachariah Sitchin and following the sources of his leads has led me to uncover these things about those who were the machinations left by those I come from. These cloned vessels that were the echoes of their civil conflict they call Palladians and Draconians. One side being the facets of strategic warfare and the other designed by methods to achieve victory through brute force and strength. That is the translation of the Lemurian account and the conflict mentioned between those who dwelled on the island. It was an encoded description that was written by one who did not have the mind to describe correctly what was revealed to him. As the descriptions said though, there was something about me that has always bypassed their restricted boundaries of access, that has given me answers to things many have never been allowed to know. As if born naturally with some sort of clearance that is not questioned, I hear rumors of suspicious that my bloodline is one of a high-ranking status embedded deep within their systems, veiled and concealed even from their own systems from recognizing. These records and accounts have been breached and overwritten by enemies and salvage crews over time, but still, my clearance and the foundations of their data still endured and held the recognition to me despite the alterations they tried to set in place. The story was blurred for an epoch before I came along, and the original data seemed to have reorganized itself before I even approached close enough to access its archives, as if it was waiting for me. That's just my observed opinion, of course. It could just be that is what they wanted me to think to make me less alert and feel more comfortable so I wouldn't resist whatever their system had in plan for me. I am well aware of the methods used by those who abduct others as well. I fully realize the possibility that this might be the true intention behind the curtain of their agenda. If so, then their biggest mistake was taking me to be a fool and unaware enough to suspect the danger. And I played that naive role very well, thank you. I still keep many options open as possibilities, but one that does not seem a likely possible truth any longer is that I am simply just a human. No human could grasp the things or achieve the level of complex understanding, extrasensory skills that I not only claim but explain the details of its functions and processes as I have. Many out there who criticize me do not know that there is more to me than just a cult-style leader with cult-like beliefs. I don't claim things that are out of reach or intangible. The things I claim are explained by details that build a bridge and describe its process of quantum interactions. Sorry, let me maintain the simple understanding so I don't lose anybody here. I explain the process of its function and how I am able to do the things I claim. That is what makes me something that is more of a factual truth and not some fictional cult practice or belief as some have been accredited to. When I said I can influence the Earth's elemental forces, I did so as I was claiming this, making sure their monitors were recording what was happening as I said it. When I said I was communicating with others not of this world, they made sure they were prepared to show people that they were not imaginary, even though they were nervous about doing so. And that showed that we were a force not concealed and hidden, but one that could be seen and felt, so that when we said we were here to help, they at least knew that they would see the evidence of that claim, and they did. Then the world reacted on that fear of the unknown and uncertain path we were walking along, and that feeling of something more tangible than the path we were on, that was forging a new future for mankind that would exist alongside life beyond their own world, was shattered by that fear of the uncertain future, and now they all cling on to hope towards returning to that old way humanity once knew, as living oblivious to any other life out there than them. So the makeup got thicker as humanity chased after that return to something familiar, and they denied the truth. Now looking back on it and comparing it to what it seems the world did to Jesus when he came and after he died, I see similar behavior patterns occurring and unseen fingers pointing to those who wondered the questions of why and what happened with people during the time of Jesus, what caused them to do what they did and still do to this day it seems. Those unseen fingers point towards this chain of events and say, these things you all have done and felt and thought today about this matter, these are the answers you seek to that question. It is not that all this occurred to give them these answers, only that the situation's principles were similar and their reaction's principles were similar as well. Enough so that those unseen fingers are pointing it out for them to realize is all. I say this out of my own observations, of course, but my basic statement is this: after experiencing and explaining the vast array of details on so many subjects I've covered and the details that explain them, I only ask that you stop and consider yourself in my shoes. Would you be able to consider yourself human? Would you not consider the possibility of being something more than just normal? So please consider this before making further comments about the stability of my grasp on reality, even in jest. Lately I have reacted without patience towards those that do, and I saw the error in this and thought I would take the moment to explain things a little instead of erupting as if insulted. For this, I apologize and ask that you understand I have had many other encounters that have left me